How long can hope survive when every second bleeds away with the fuel? How long before calm turns into quiet panic and the sky once trusted becomes a trap? Tonight, we tell the story of a flight that couldn't land. A story of exhaustion, desperation, and silence in the dark. This is the plane that couldn't land. Above the Atlantic night, it began as a normal flight. Families, travelers, and crew on board, heading toward New York. Outside, the night was calm at first, the stars hidden behind a thick curtain of clouds. But far below, the East Coast was drowning in a storm. Heavy rain hammered the runways. Winds howled, lightning struck. Pilots across the sky waited for their turn to descend. Inside the cockpit of Flight 052, two tired pilots sat in glowing light, surrounded by instruments that whispered warnings. They'd been in the air for over 7 hours. Fatigue was setting in, but so was something else: unease. The fuel gauges were dipping lower than expected. Not dangerously low yet, but low enough to make the captain glance twice. "Let's ask for approach," he said quietly. The radio crackled. "Radio static, negative, hold for now. Weather's too rough." So they circled. Once, twice, then again. Each turn was another handful of precious fuel burned away into the black sky. Inside the cabin, Mayday, passengers started to notice something strange. The city lights below kept appearing, disappearing, and reappearing again. It was as if the plane was stuck above the same place, looping endlessly. A flight attendant smiled gently, reassuring passengers. "It's just the weather, folks. We'll be on the ground soon." But her smile didn't reach her eyes. She knew the holding pattern had gone on too long. In the back, a little boy looked out the window. "Mom, why aren't we landing?" he asked. She hushed him softly, unaware that her question carried the same fear as the crew's. Up front, the pilots kept waiting for clearance. The storm wasn't letting up, and the words they dreaded came again. "Radio static, continue holding." The first warning light. The fuel light blinked amber. Just a small glow on the panel, but it carried a message no pilot ever wants to see. They did the math again and again. Fuel remaining, barely enough for one more approach. The captain rubbed his forehead, exhaustion etched in his face. The co-pilot looked at him, hesitant. "Should we declare emergency?" Silence. In aviation, that word, emergency, carries weight. It means priority over all others. But fatigue dulls judgment, and pride clouds instinct. "We'll be fine," the captain finally said. "Let's wait for our turn." And so they circled again, as the fuel drained like sand in an hourglass. The tower of mist of UNDURSTANDS. Finally, the radio buzzed, requesting priority landing. "We're low on fuel." The controller's voice came back, calm and detached. "Roger, you'll be number 6 for approach." Sixth. They didn't understand. This wasn't low on fuel, this was critical. But the crew's tone was still too polite, too composed. They never said the one word that could have saved them: Mayday. To the tower, they were just another aircraft in the storm. To themselves, they were a heartbeat away from disaster. Inside the CKP, tension rises. Minutes felt like hours. The instruments blinked. The rain slammed harder. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the pilots' faces, pale, focused, afraid. "Fuel remaining?" the captain asked. The co-pilot stared at the gauge. "We're almost dry." They looked at each other. No more waiting. No more chances. "Request immediate landing," the captain said firmly. "We're running on fumes." But air traffic control was juggling dozens of other aircraft, each one demanding attention. Their voices got lost in the static. Their urgency, unheard. The final approach. The storm cleared slightly. "Cleared for approach," the tower said. Relief swept through the cockpit. Finally, the runway lights glittered through the rain. The captain guided the aircraft down carefully, steadying against the gusting wind. The passengers below clutched their armrests, sensing the descent. But the rain was blinding. The wind was merciless. The descent was unstable. They were too fast, too high. The landing wouldn't be safe. "Go around," the captain said. the hardest words he would ever speak. The engine screamed as the plane pulled up again into the storm. But when they leveled off, something terrible happened. The fuel gauges hit zero. The ingenious die sound, engine sputtering, then fading. The right engine caught, sputtered, and went silent. Then the left followed. The hum that had been constant for hours gone. All that remained was the sound of wind rushing past the fuselage and the slow, sickening realization they were falling. In the cockpit, the alarms blared: stall, terrain, low altitude. The captain's hands gripped the controls tightly. Come on, he whispered. But there was no power left. The plane, once alive with light, was now gliding silently, helplessly toward darkness. Inside the cabin, pure at the air. The passengers felt the change instantly. The air was different, heavier. The lights flickered. The engines stopped humming. Whispers turned to questions. Questions turned to panic. Why is it so quiet? Someone shouted. A mother held her child tightly. An old man clutched his cross. A flight attendant buckled herself into a jump seat, whispering prayers she couldn't finish. Outside the window, nothing but darkness and rain. The fall. The plane was descending fast, gliding over the suburbs below. The captain fought the controls, searching desperately for any flat surface, any light, any hope. Come on, he whispered. Just a few more seconds. They pass over homes, treetops, power lines. For a moment, just a moment, it looked like they might make it. Then came the sound no one will ever forget. A thunderous crack as the wings clipped the trees, metal tore apart, and the aircraft slammed into the ground. A blinding flash. Then, silence. The AFTR Mayday of 1:00 a.m. Residents nearby woke to the sound of impact. They ran outside, barefoot, confused, and terrified. Through the trees, flames flickered. Pieces of the plane scattered across the earth. The smell of jet fuel filled the air. The cries of survivors echoed faintly through the wreckage. Firefighters arrived minutes later, faces pale under their helmets. They had trained for this, but nothing prepares you for the sight of twisted metal and human loss. Inside the shattered fuselage, there were pockets of life. A few survivors calling out, their voices faint but desperate. But many never spoke again. Investigation and guilt. Days later, investigators combed through the wreckage. They found no mechanical failure, no sabotage, just empty fuel tanks. The conclusion was simple and devastating: fuel exhaustion. It wasn't a machine that failed. It was human miscommunication, fatigue, and hesitation. One word, Mayday, could have changed everything. It would have forced air traffic control to clear the skies and let them land immediately. But that word was never spoken. The captain's last recorded words were calm, almost resigned, as if he knew, deep down, that they wouldn't make it. The JOST in the sky. Even today, locals near the crash site say the night is never completely quiet. Sometimes, when the wind is right, you can hear it, a low hum like engines in the distance. Maybe it's the wind, or maybe it's the echo of that flight, still circling above, trying to find a place to land. They call it the ghost in the sky, a reminder of what happens when humanity meets its limits in the heavens. The official report called it an accident caused by miscommunication. But that's not the whole story. It wasn't just a plane that couldn't land. It was a night when fatigue, fear, and fate intertwined. When a simple misunderstanding turned into tragedy. When silence in the cockpit became louder than the storm outside. And when hope finally ran out of fuel. Next time you look out a plane window and see the lights below, remember this story of courage, confusion, and quiet heartbreak above the clouds. Because sometimes the scariest stories aren't made up. They really happened in the sky above us. This was the plane that couldn't land. If this story sent chills down your spine, subscribe, ring the bell, and join us again for another haunting true story from the dark side of the skies.